Exciting, particularly as I refer to the script that we have read in the book of Philippians about what has happened in the church in Zimbabwe. I will go back a little bit and give you a little bit of a graphical story of what happened in my country. The first missionary to work in our country was, sorry, I'm forgetting him. He belonged to the United Congregational Church. John Moffat, yes, John Moffat, Umchede. The Africans called him Umchede. He was the first to open a mission station. And then after that, of course, the occupation of the country occurred in the 1890s. But after the occupation of the country occurred, the British had governors in each of the provinces. And I'll give you an example of, say, Nashville, which is in Tennessee, and then Kentucky, and possibly Indiana. The British were very wise in that they really saw a role for the church. And in seeing that role, they knew if they opened up the districts to mission, there will be a lot of fighting and competing and so forth for the gospel. And they decided to say, if you want to go and evangelize in the rural areas, you must apply for permission. So each church applied, and say the Churches of Christ would have been given Tennessee. And then after you've established yourself and you've proved that you have the capability to move beyond that district that you're given, they would then offer you another district if you are interested. So this was the pattern of events. But as I look at that story, I see how God, even when there might be ill intentions, will still have a mark and drive His Holy Spirit to work in ways sometimes we don't understand. Because what eventually happened was that governance of those areas eventually fell into the hands of the missionaries. The education system, the hospitals, the social needs, the effects of drought and so forth. Garfield Todd, you see, who had come as a missionary, went to Cape Town University for crash courses on how to assist women to give birth. If you come into our area, you'll hear of so many Todds. Those are babies that Garfield assisted to deliver. That was mission. But in doing that, there were dynamics that were complicated when it comes to a mission organization running its mission effectively and satisfying the needs of the population. For instance, in our situation, we had Grace Todd devising a syllabi for teachers to teach from grades 0 right up to UJC, as it was called then. But the other churches did not have the same vision as we had. But Grace Todd was not selfish to say, although she had this gift, she was going to keep it to the Churches of Christ only. She took it across, went to the Minister of Education and said, I can see a plight within our mission organizations. Because whilst we are doing a good job, most of the churches are teaching the African people just to read and write so that they can read the Bible. But for me, education is more than that. And as a result, government accepted schemes of work and a syllabus for the whole country used by all churches was put into place. Having done that, even at that hour, at our own Churches of Christ, we also had handicaps. Because whilst we could be thriving in education, we did not have anybody with skills to teach building, although Garfield Todd, in a small way, also doubled up as a building teacher. So the United Church of Christ, right in the east of the country, came handy. They had brought, missionaries that were very good at building and carpentry, and were running courses in those areas. And so the churches then realized that one-on-one, you cannot succeed. But together, as Christians, much can be achieved. So with that in mind, they set a formula where If we send 10 students from our own church to the United Churches of Christ at Chiping at Mount Selinda, they would also send 10 to us. So we have 10 doing building and carpentry, and they send 10 to us. The Dutch Reformed Church had a printing press. They were not selfish to say, since this is ours, we're going to keep it ourselves. They allowed us to use their Shona hymn books. The United Congregational Church, which had links with South Africa, had Ndebele hymns. We use those hymns up to today. The evangelical, what do they call themselves? The Swedish church at that time had hospitals. So we sent our nurses for training at their institutions. So there was this cooperative thrust within the mission organization going beyond denomination.